which is not normal for us on Wednesday. But as you can see, Lauren is not here. She will be joining us shortly. She realized she does not have Wi-Fi at her new office, so she's getting back to her other office. But I got Joel actually on time for once, and we got meet the school member. We got Tom Taylor on today. So welcome, fellas.
Morning.
Morning. Thanks for having us.
Yeah, morning, morning. This is so like everyone, if you do want to jump on with us on Wednesdays and if you are in school, reach out to me. I think we're lined up for the next few weeks. But Tom's with us today. And I've only kind of met Tom a few times on some of the calls. I wouldn't say I've known him a lot through the one rental at a time community from the from my start. But so Tom, maybe quickly fill everyone on who you are and where do you invest?
Well, I live in Missoula, Montana. I invest in Butte America, and I've been investing there since 2023. So not that long. So got three single families over there, and I'm looking to gather another one. So
Well, 2023, but your journey in real estate started much before that, right?
it did. It did start a little bit before that. Um, in 2014 or so, I bought a single family home, not knowing anything, and it had a little building on the back that through the course of time, my joke was I'm going to turn this into a little apartment, and then lo and behold, a couple of years later, we did do that. Turned into a little apartment. It's a tiny house, an ADU, and it has well exceeded every expectation ever. So it started out as a little Airbnb, and we moved it on to. We stopped doing Airbnb after my cleaner, known as my wife, decided that she didn't want to clean it anymore. So we did long-term rentals in it, and it has been just keep rolling everything back into it, and that one investment of the ADU has turned into three single-family homes and adding more.
Very cool. There's a lot of stuff that I want to bring up. Hey, Joel, is there anything you want to touch on first before I brought up a few things?
Yeah, I mean the first question I have is about the ADU, right? Like, did you buy that intentionally? Like, what was your plan when you first bought that property?
When I first bought it was just to buy a house. That was number one, because I can't paying rent seems awful. So I searched and searched and searched until finally I found one that was, I basically bought the cheapest one I could find, which is kind of a reoccurring theme for me. And then ended up, I first had it as a garage because that's what I needed at the time. And then after a while, it turned into, I want somebody else to help pay this mortgage because we built a new house sitting there, and that was much more expensive. So then I turned that garage into an ADU, and then we discovered at first I was just wanting $300 a month for it. I was like, let's just get 300, and now it's getting about 850 a month just on just rent. So all done by myself for the most part.
I kind of want to get into also like I think you mentioned ugliest or cheapest homes you buying, right? So is that kind of still your strategy now, or what do you consider ugly or cheap homes, I guess, in your area?
Um, it's got to be livable um, to start with. I'll draw the line there. I don't want a full gut rehab the whole thing, but there's a fine line between buying too much and not enough. So well, oftentimes people look at it like, oh, I don't like it because of X, Y, Z. It's like somebody will like it. We can make this better.
Hold on, I'm just welcoming Lauren in, and of course, I did tell everyone why you are late, or you didn't realize you had Wi-Fi or not have Wi-Fi yet at your new office.
Yeah. I had to rush back. I was like, oh no, you're never going to hear the end of this from Joel.
Oh yeah, I've already filled Tom in a lot.
I'm feeling great today. I mean, I'm just chilling.
Tom was here like at 15 minutes. I wasn't used to it. Lucky I had my camera off. I was sitting here drinking coffee and everything. But Lauren, Tom, so Tom's in Montana. I'm not sure if you got to read a little bit of his summary, but he is talking about his journey so far with his ADU, buying cheap, ugly homes. But Tom, it also kind of sounds like you've pivoted slightly, right? So
Mhm.
like you said, you started back in 2014. You had ADU, Airbnb. But tell us where you're at right now, and are you still in that same market?
We still have the ADU. It's still at my house that I live at. So house hacking is, I'm going to say, is the number one help to make this all happen. Um, and then as far as the rest of them, I got 3 single family homes that I rent out. Those ones were all the first one, as like anybody else has noticed and seen a pattern. The first one's always like, every time I go back to, I'm like, oh, this is. I probably shouldn't have bought this one, but I lucked out big time. I have the greatest tenants ever there, and so we take care of them. But the house itself, probably gonna die with it. It's kind of rough. I've had to fix a few things over there where they're not the best, but it's a good house, but not to the standard I think people should just jump into if you don't know. If you're just trying to get something, if you're not into construction or handy or willing to take phone calls about anything, avoid that one.
All right, so we're gonna have to pay attention to the chat also because we do realize it is April Fool's Day, right? So I don't know how many of we're gonna have to fact check a lot of these comments coming through. So definitely, like Coach Nick Lead Prejado is saying he sold all his Bitcoin and he's out, but definitely we know that is not true. But hopefully not, because then I have to look for a new Saturday guest. So Nick is my regular on Saturday. So come check us out on Saturdays as he gives the weekly recap on Bitcoin. But yeah, definitely. I think, the one thing is you've been in it quite a long time, right? So your journey started in 2014. Like you said, you've done a lot of different things, cheap homes, ADU, short-term rental, right? But what do you see? What would you say now? Like, I think a lot of people are waiting on the sidelines, right? So compared to when you started, do you think people are waiting too much for the perfect deal, or how would you help someone getting started today?
Just start. You'll learn way more from just starting than anything you can ever imagine. I look back, I had recently taught that first house that I bought, the first rental. I recently had the tenant called me because the dryer was making noise. She thought that the dryer, this is a landlord thing, you'll have to deal with this at some point, is she thought the dryer was included in her rent. So I had to go back and look at the lease. Well, this is the very first one I've ever done, and I didn't have anything in there about appliances. Nothing. So I'm like, all right, now what? So then I look for the old lease that she had when she moved in because she's an inherited tenant. And they had an item in there for appliances. Luckily, they had it in there of these are convenience items and they won't be included with anything. They're up to you, the tenant. Well, she heard that. She wasn't real happy. But the lesson learned from that is the lease is very, very powerful. Not only in the legal standpoint, but just your memory of how things happen, because things go by, people forget. She insisted that that was part of it, and she said that if she repairs it and fixes it, she's taking it with her. And to me, you take it. I don't want that crap. So, but that's the lesson learned, that you don't learn from just doing and living and trying it and keep going. So just making that first leap.
So I'm not sure if I can hear Nick. I'm not Ike, but Ike is commenting, but I can hear Tom. Okay, it's a little on the soft side, but I mean I can hear him fine. I think it might be Ike's end if he's not hearing him that well.
It's another April.
What was that?
I'm
Another
getting a little bit
April.
of a buzzing sound actually.
Yeah, that's usually Joel. So I don't know, but yeah, but yeah. Any question, Lauren, Joel? You guys got anything?
Well, you guys might have talked about this, but Tom, where in Montana are you?
I'm in Missoula, Montana, and I invest in Butte, America.
Okay.
So is my audio better now?
Yes. Yeah, now it sounds better. Yeah.
Okay. I switched mics. I think I was
Oh.
using the camera mic and we're in the headset.
So what have you seen? Because Montana is interesting. I'm in Idaho. Montana is interesting because I feel like it has grown so much. And I grew up in Coeur d'Alene, which is not too far from Missoula. And it's grown so much. Have you seen different changes? And do you think it's like, is that part of like a COVID era boom, and has it gone down, or is it here to stay? Like, what do you see happening in Montana?
We had an enormous boom, and it was already like that about 2017, 2018. COVID hit and it got wild as far as people building houses. So it was one after the other. The boom itself has subsided substantially, but it's not receding at all. It is still moving forward. We're not seeing any spec homes out there, or very few, if any. But as far as people still moving here, there's apartments being built everywhere. So to me, that tells me the big money is investing here as well, which is really good news for small investors, because small investors going for single families, if they cash flow, or small multifamily, they can compete with the big boys based solely on providing a better product for their client.
What kind of price range are the outright rentals in that market?
You can get one for about 150 and up in that market. So 150 is kind of the lower end of a decent house. There are some that pop up that are very cheap, and for a reason. They're definitely for a reason. And then there's certain parts of town that I've learned that are cheaper than other ones, because now I have two of them in that spot, which turned out to be pretty awesome, actually, because everybody's so nice. It looks bad, but it just gets better and better as time goes on.
And why did you choose Butte and not Missoula?
Single family homes in Missoula will start around 400,000.
Okay.
And if it's less than that in any shape, it generally goes pretty quick. So there's a couple that might be in the threes, and they usually get scooped up very fast. It's a very hot and expensive market.
Joel, anything or no?
No.
I want to talk. So you mentioned also, so you kind of came into the community through Dion first, right? So the one rent at a time community. I think a lot of people have probably, for whatever reason it is, it seems like maybe Dion is their introduction to this community. They've come across his videos first or whatnot. But what's your takeaways from Dion? What caught your eye, I guess, with his videos, and then what brought you into the school community?
At the very beginning, let's go back to that original tenant that I had. It turned into, it was basically the, oh crap, I'm a landlord. Like, what do I do here? And since I didn't really know, it turned to people I know in town. And they're kind of, I don't know if they're the best landlords. I think they were like, get a property manager. I tried to get a property manager, and I called multiples, but I was a little cautious on them. Basically, it was call up a property manager, and if they wouldn't call me back, I wasn't going to chase them down. I figured that was a lesson. If they're not willing to call me back to get a client, they're probably not going to be able to communicate very well moving forward. So then I was like, well, I'll do this on my own. So then I started searching the YouTube, and some of his videos caught my eye, and I started watching those. And then if anybody's down a rabbit hole, there's a rabbit hole of all of them, of everybody's videos. And the thing that were nice about those ones is
didn't have a lot of subscribers. There wasn't a lot of, because I've noticed if there's a lot of subscribers, that's more entertainment than learning. And that's a tough one. If you have 5 million subscribers, it's kind of like, is this really content for something I need to do, or is it learning? And his were really good, which spun me down the rabbit hole of Marks and Zubers and maps.
Did I miss a question here though? Someone's asking. Jane, it's about whitefish.
Whitefish.
I think they're saying they didn't ask it.
You said you answered my question without me asking. Oh, okay. Okay, I think you answered his question already without. Okay, cool. That was James.
Yeah, I think whitefish probably is an expensive market, as I'm guessing what he's referencing.
I don't even look. I don't even look up there. It's expensive, and I know it.
Well, so like I said, that was a good recap of kind of where you're at in your journey, your story. But I think a lot of people probably want to get a lot of information on what you're going to kind of talk about a little bit next, as far as you kind of mentioned you have this kind of knowledge of this kind of underground world, maybe that a lot of us don't really look at when we first get started investing. It costs a lot of people money. I think we've all been through it. But kind of give everyone a little peek or idea of what knowledge you have that some of us aren't aware of, maybe.
Well, two things. You said the underground world, but I think what we're talking about here is, so I work for a contractor. I've done it a long time now of doing sewer water lines. It's an excavation contractor from civil to house digs. So I know that world really well. And then you mentioned the underground world, and we'll get to that later, of how I got really scrappy on my second house by going a different route than most people take. But we'll deal with that one later. But the underground world, trying to compare septic systems and sewers, they're very, very important to get those scoped out before you buy a house, because they can range. You can have prices on those from like $6,000 to try to just fix one little spot, or an entire sewer line might be down the street and you're talking $100,000 to try to get that fixed. And
when you're talking like underground world, you were talking literal. I thought we were talking like raves and parties and people hanging out.
We can go over that one later. But yeah, it was literal underground for sewer and water lines. And most people just assume like the water just shows up in their house or the city takes care of it. Well, in our town, and I believe most of them, cities control the water main that runs in the street or the alley, not the service line that goes to the house. That's the homeowner's responsibility. So if you have a leak anywhere in there, it's the owner's responsibility to fix that. And they are not cheap at all. And it's very not do-it-yourself friendly either.
Well, I think a lot of as we realize, we've probably all went through some sort of sewer or water issue. So like maybe what kind of red flags or step-by-step process people can go through to maybe eliminate or reduce some of the risk when they're maybe looking at a deal, or whether they're going to proceed on a property or purchase.
I'd say the first one to look for, that's probably the easiest, is look and see what type of material the water lines were made out of. If it comes into your house, look at it. If it's a galvanized steel, they don't use those anymore. They have about a 50-year lifespan, and around here they quit putting them in about 70 years ago. So if you cut those apart, you'll notice they're corroded, they're rusted, they break. And that's number one.
What do they make them out of now? Do they do a PVC?
They're made out of plastic. It's polyethylene, or HDPE is what it would be.
Okay.
And that stuff's really tough. It'll last lifetimes unless it's damaged for some reason, which that one basically is just black plastic or like a blue plastic.
Got it.
You're not really sure what to look for. Sewer lines inside of houses, can't quite tell, but if it's cast iron, which a lot of them are, then odds are it's on the outside of the house. It's not cast iron. It'll be probably clay tile, which is very fragile. We often run into those that have tree roots digging through them. broken, cracked, broken. So you want PVC.
Do you like if you were looking at evaluating a deal, a property, and there's like, how do you handle the trees in the area? Is that something? Is it case by case, or you pretty much is like, okay, if there's, I'm going to just eliminate the trees and get rid of any future hassles possibly.
I'm a big fan of that. I like less trees. People like big ones, but I don't want leaves landing on top of the gutters and filling the gutters up. That's number one. And I really don't want trees landing on the house for any reason. So
Trade Better does have a question here. Love the Missoula area. Tom, how do you feel about the market being super expensive and out-of-staters moving to your area?
I can't control where people move. So that's one that it's a tough one because people want to move here, and that's a good thing. It means it's a place that people want to be. And as far as being super expensive, that's very true. There's no doubt about it. So and that's what makes it tough. I'm trying to move into this
Can't
market.
be that expensive. Kyle Doran lives in Montana. Nah.
He lives down south in the ghetto.
So if you guys don't remember, Kyle Doran has been on the channel a few times, but he is the one that has caused a little bit of stir by saying he retired and his expenses, he lives off of roughly $700 a month. So there's a funny story to that too. Tom and Kyle do have a friend that they have in common. Hey, Jim's here. Jim's been pretty busy with a lot of his stuff. So Jim's a contractor out in California, the grumpy contractor. But yeah, getting back to the sewers, so kind of a little bit veering off of it. So like, I don't know if they have it in your areas, but like in Pittsburgh or Pennsylvania, for example, terracotta is something very common that shows up on a lot of inspection reports. Is that something you're familiar with, or like how would you handle it if it shows up on an inspection report? Is that something you walk away from automatically, or you have things that you would maybe go through certain checks and stuff?
And that one, we call it clay tile, terracotta. It's very similar. It's a clay pipe. It's really brittle. It does last a long time. If you have it scoped, you have like a drain cleaning service, they'll come through and run a camera down it, and they can tell you the condition of the pipe. I mean, they do it every day. Be like, this is a lot, or a lot to fix. If it's in good shape, it'll still last. The downside though is if it's not in good shape, it will deteriorate over time and it needs to be fixed. And catching that ahead of time, sometimes you might be able to negotiate with the seller. Or worst case scenario, it's not connected to city sewer at all because it's an older home, and you'll be forced into connecting by the city. And that one, you should catch that one ahead of time. Most of the time, most cities are pretty good about catching that on sales of houses. So the seller would have to cover that. But that's generally a surprise for everybody across the board, because if they've never had problems with it, they would never know.
Joel,
Lauren,
have you folks dealt with any sewer issues on any of your investment properties, or have you automatically walked away because of a sewer inspection report?
I mean, I've had a couple of contracts where on deals where I had it fixed during the inspection process, which it could have gone the other way. The seller could have not fixed it, but it's like if it's a problem on one buyer, the next buyer is going to have the same request, so they end up getting it done.
Yeah, in Hawaii, I had a house, my water main broke. So that was a big, oh no, very expensive. I also have put in septic systems. Hawaii is a place where they're trying to change over. They have a lot of cesspools in Hawaii. And so they're trying to change over to there's a certain type of septic that you can still have. But it's like an updated, and I think it was $20,000 for a 3-bedroom house. I forgot how many fixtures. They count it by water fixtures. But I did 2 septics, and it was $40,000 for a new septic system. So that was very expensive. But Hawaii is one of those places where if you are on cesspool and you don't catch it, they're a little slow, the city there. So then they come, you bought a house maybe a year ago, and then they come to you and they say that sale actually triggered you having to change over to a new septic or connect to sewer. And so a lot of people get surprised by that because they didn't realize that it was on cesspool, or they didn't do that inspection. They just bought the house and then it triggers that. And so then they have like a $40,000 bill. So shockingly. So yeah, definitely one of those things you want to check on inspection.
So Joel, like you said, so do you have to, well, I mean, I know you don't really like sway them one way or the other, but I'm sure a lot of investors that are trying to do loans with you or mortgages do talk about the inspection reports and like, I mean, is the sewer system or sewer inspections probably one of the bigger things that kind of, especially for newer investors, right? Like, does it kind of scare them off a lot of times?
I don't in my journeys. I don't see a lot of sewer stuff come up. To be honest, like I don't see that pop up as killing deals. You know, and the other thing too is that we don't have a lot of conversations about inspections. Either it goes well or it doesn't. Like that's just their clients busy, agents busy. Like they're not talking to us about that because it doesn't really matter in our process. We don't care about the inspection. Our appraisal process, either it has things that need to be fixed or it doesn't. So the inspection doesn't even really come into play in our process.
So Tom, as far as like, new investors, when they do the inspection report, the sewer inspection reports, like, is there a complete deal breaker? Is there something that you would absolutely walk away from if it showed up on the report? Or is there, like you're saying, each thing is somewhat of a negotiation tool?
Everything's negotiable on that one. And that's the game we're in, is if it's going to be expensive for you, just pass it off during the negotiations, see what can happen. And then that makes the numbers work.
Yeah, I think that's great advice. I think that's the one thing, especially new investors, it's hard for them to get over that hump a little bit, right? Is whether there's something that pops up on the inspection report, right? And they instead of looking at it as an opportunity to negotiate, they're already kind of looking for the exit door, right? So I think that's definitely a good point.
Tom,
yeah.
are you doing excavation for like foundations and stuff, the contractor that you work for, or are you just doing like sewer and that kind of thing?
No, we do all of it.
So-
Foundations, roads, sewer, water.
Let me ask you, I have two questions then. One question is, what is the cost, if you're doing a new build, do you think it's worth it to do a basement to get more square footage? Like, what does a basement typically cost? Like, how much additional is that going to be? And is that like something that you find to be worth it?
I would do it. It's the extra cost isn't just in the digging itself. There's more concrete involved. There's also a concrete slab in the bottom that needs to be dealt with. And so that's things all that kind of add up to it. To me, I think that they're worth it. One thing I always thought would be very helpful is on if you do like a modular home, you can buy like a 3-bedroom modular home. If you put it on just a regular crawl space, you have a 3-bedroom. But if you put it on a basement, you can add 4 to 5 if you wanted to.
Mm-hmm.
A fairly reasonable amount of money. I think it varies. It just can vary so much.
Mm-hmm. And then the other question I had was, I forgot it already.
It'll come back.
Yeah, it'll go back to me.
Hey, Lauren, question for you, or Tom. Looking at the map, I've never been to Idaho or Montana. So how would you describe the difference between Idaho and Montana? Real estate wise, just the field, the people, the landscape.
Well, both of them are very big states, I would say. Like, so it really depends on like where in the state. Like I think of Idaho in terms of like North Idaho and Southern Idaho as being the dividing kind of thing versus Montana. I think of like West and East. So I'm not super familiar, to be honest, with Eastern Montana. I haven't really been there, but where I'm from in Coeur d'Alene is just a few hour drive from Missoula, where Tom is from. So I would say like Missoula and Coeur d'Alene are like kind of similar-ish in a way, as far as like culture, growth, economics, like that kind of thing. There's a college in Missoula which is different. We don't have one in Coeur d'Alene, but like I would say it's like a pretty similar demographic, and they both are kind of that like inner mountain ski towns, nature centric fishing, college towns. Like I would say they're in a lot of ways they're really similar. If you're talking about Western Montana, Eastern Montana, I don't know, but they're big places. There's like they're both really big states.
Yeah, I agree. I agree 100% on that. Coeur d'Alene to Missoula is very similar, just as far as you're in mountains the entire time. You get to Eastern Montana, it's a lot like Eastern Washington, where it's you're going a few miles without on a dirt road and be in one car maybe. So,
Yeah.
and that's pretty similar there. I do agree that there's a north-south. There's kind of a banana belt when you start getting down.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, if I were to drive from where I am, I live in Sun Valley right now. If I were to drive from where I am to go home, I would drive through. I'd actually have to go out through Montana and then back into Idaho, because there's too many mountains in the center of Idaho, so you have to like go around them, which means going through Missoula.
Harrison had a question for you, Tom. He says, Tom, do you like the notorious PIG, great barbecue spot in downtown?
They are. That's a good spot. Give them a shout out. Go down there and visit them.
Is that far from you?
No, that's not
No.
far from me. I could ride a bike
Oh,
to go get there. So
Nice.
anything else you want to add on the sewers? I mean, like I said, I think that's the one. From my experience, that is the one thing I think that holds a lot of people up on their deals is when they get the sewer inspection report back, and whether they see something that they don't like in the report, or they get it almost frightened them, and so they are in their head. They're already probably going through like a $30,000, $40,000 cost. I think that's just a normal experience. So, from your experience, do those reports usually tell you the whole story, I guess, in a sense? Is it like as bad as it appears, maybe?
it can be. If they run a camera down it, take a look at the camera. That one will tell you everything. Things to look for if you want roots intrusion. You don't want that. Bellies in the pipe, which is if you're looking through there and all of a sudden you go to see some standing water and then the camera goes underwater and then comes back out of the water. That means that the pipe does one of these. That needs to be repaired. That's a big deal. Obviously, if there's cracks in it, make sure it actually connects to the city sewer. That's a huge one. Or maybe it connects to the septic tank. Those are the couple of things that you're trying to alleviate. And then where the problem is, let's say you have a crack in the pipe that's 30 feet out from the house. Go stand out 30 feet from the house, look around, see if there's any obstacles there. Is there giant trees, sidewalks, roads, other houses? Like you could have anything. Or it could just be grass in the yard. No big deal. Just for somebody to come dig it up. So things like that all add up.
What is the biggest sewer line you've ever seen, maybe?
Biggest bill or the biggest?
Yeah.
I'd say over 100, like right a little over 100 for putting one in. That was a kind of an unfortunate experience for somebody. They were never connected, and then the house went to sale, and they had to connect to city sewer, and it was a long ways away. That one's a big one. Septic systems, they can get wild at times. If you're like near water, near a lake, they can go into different levels. They can be, most of the time, they're the low end, about 25 grand to put a new one in, high end 45. That's kind of like the normal. And then when you get to anything like close to water, close to lakes, the world kind of changes, just goes up. And so it's something just to kind of look out for, see, like, so if you're buying something that's not on city sewer, it's going to be on the septic system. If it's an older house, there's a chance there isn't a septic system and it's just a cesspool. And if people are wondering what that is, that's basically just a hole in the ground. That's kind of the best way to describe it. It's a deep open hole.
So like I said, I think it sounds like different materials for the type of piping, but trees is probably the one red flag that a lot of people should be concerned with or looking out for when evaluating a deal. Is there anything else that they can see, like when they're walking the ground or walking the property, or is it pretty much trees would be your biggest thing that could damage the sewer lines?
Trees are a big damager. A failed septic system is a big damager too. If you have any bubbling or what looks like black water coming out of the ground, that's a sign of it not working. That's kind of a big deal. So if it's bubbling up, that's a big problem. If it's not bubbling up and the grass is just really green, that's somewhat normal. If people want to get kind of crazy on it, look on Google Earth sometime and you'll see like some stripes in their yard. That'll kind of let you know where the septic system lives, where the drain field is. Sometimes it doesn't, but it does tell you. Sometimes you'll see like some 3 or 4 stripes in there and you're like, oh, I wonder what those are. Well, that's what that is. Don't park anything on top of it. Don't randomly dig or put your shed there. That's where it's at.
Like I said, is there anything else you want to add on the sewer side, or?
I guess one question is, like, what percentage of your day, Tom, do you lay the pipe?
What was that? What percentage of my day is what?
Do you lay the pipe?
I used to. No, I do all the estimates and direct a crew.
Don't mind Joe. How much does it cost to scope a line, you would say?
Less than $600.
Is there different, you would say, maybe is there a certain type of equipment someone should try to get requested if they're going to do one for an inspection, for like a inspection report to do to evaluate their deal? Is there like cheap ways to get around it that some inspectors may use, or is there a certain product that people should try and make sure that an inspector is using?
I would probably, since you're probably not going to use it that often, in the reality, it's probably better off just to call a drain cleaning company, somebody around. Almost all of them have the ability to inspect. And they see it all the time, so they can give you hey, this thing is in good shape, or it's kind of not so much, or we got a real problem. They'll give you and since they're not involved in the deal at all.
Big Val is asking, can insurance help with some of the septic cost? Can insurance help?
That I'm not so sure on. I don't know if I've ever been paid from an insurance company on something like that.
Is that? I think he's asking, right? If you, okay. James is asking, on your basements, do you install more poured concrete walls or block?
Poured concrete almost every single time. Probably every time around here, it's just poured concrete. It's pretty standard. There's not block. Maybe that's just a northern climate thing.
Anything else you guys want to sewer stuff? The dirty underground things that you guys want to know about? I just see it as the thing that probably holds a lot of people up on when they especially when they're new. It kind of scares them off. I think that's the one thing. So, like I said, if you are in the school community, you can always reach out to Tom, or he's probably Wednesday calls, right? Is the one you're on primarily, so you can always come there. Bring your reports. Have Tom give his opinion on it, his thoughts. But yeah, if you ever have any questions, reach out to Tom in school. Anything else you guys got on this matter before I bring up some other stuff? No? Well, me and Tom were chatting since Tom did show up before all of you. He actually came a little early, made sure he was here prepared. But I don't know if you guys saw Zuber's recent video with Jason Hartman, one of the keynote speakers at the Year 3 Vegas event. But Zuber says he's kind of changing his tune a little bit. He's for many years he had this one message talking about the average person can become wealthy. And he kind of realized now that message may be wrong. And he kind of feels like the average person can't get wealthy anymore. So, Lauren, Joel, you guys have any thoughts on that? Tom can come in after. Kind of gave me his thoughts.
I'm so curious. I haven't seen this video. I'm curious. What is he saying? Why they can't, or is he just saying like the barrier to entry is too high now, or?
Well, I mean, what do you guys think the average person can get wealthy today?
Well, I have a couple of things. One, what is the definition of wealthy? Like, is it, retire before 65? Is it have a certain amount of income per month when you retire? Is it a certain dollar amount in assets at some point in your life? Like, that's a little bit of a gray area. But even if you have 3 rentals, right? Like, if you're 35 and you have 3 rentals, and they're on 30-year mortgages, it may be 22 more years until they're paid off, and then you start to feel the actual wealth. Mm-hmm. Now that you're cash flowing more money, it's just a slow game. That in getting into real estate, I mean, you got to be making a lot of high income to be able to really scale in real estate more times than not, unless you're going down the path of wholesaling or creative deal strategy. But you got to have cash to be able to get into these deals. And not everybody's going to be able to get in, in 20 and 21, and you have a nice, 30-40% appreciation boom in a couple of years. That's just not the norm. That's the exception to the rule. And so somebody that's in real estate may not get to the quote unquote wealthy. And then you've got 50% of Americans don't have $1,000 saved. That, if you're under 40 and you don't own a home, the majority of people don't own homes if you're in your 30s or 20s or 40s. So I definitely agree that the average person is it's impossible. You got to be working 2 jobs, doing something extra to be able to get ahead in this environment. If you're young, below 40, that's my take on it.
Lauren, any thoughts?
I mean, I agree in a lot of ways with Joel.
What?
I always agree with Joel. But at the same time, I still feel like, I don't know if I feel like you have to work hard. You have to do something different. I think in the past, the American dream, you could have a family on one income. But that's not possible anymore. You need 2 incomes to be able to support a family. Similarly, to buy a house, it helps if you have 2 incomes, if you can have a shared dreams, shared goal. But I also think that there are opportunities for seller financing and reaching out to people, getting information more so than there ever has been before. And I also think that businesses that are boomer owned businesses are going to be sold, and if you can get into some sort of ownership position, that there's opportunity there. So I still think there's opportunity. I think it's harder for that average person or somebody who maybe didn't have as good of a financial education, had kids younger, and then their income had to go towards supporting their family, and so they didn't have as much of an opportunity to invest. But I also know a post office worker that worked, and he just invested 30% of his income into mutual funds, and then he retired with $2 million. So I think that there are strategies, if you're willing to really focus on them and stick to the plan, but all of them include time. there's not any get rich quick. Like it's definitely like a retirement strategy. And I think that then you can retire wealthy. But like the idea of wealth today, I think has changed so much. Like we see like flashy cars and like bigger houses and all of that. And I don't think that that's possible for the average person.
I forgot what you told me, but Tom, I believe you saw the video, but what was your take on this? Can the average person get wealthy today?
No, they can't. But here's why. I'll be very clear on it that if you're average, that's average. People come to the channel and they want to look and they want to learn. They can be above average. People can be, and that's very helpful. It's going to take a few sacrifices. You're going to have to make some choices, but just being above average is definitely an acceptable option. Like it takes not going out on the weekends and hanging out with your friends. Like maybe you're just saving up till you can buy something, or you can invest in stocks or Bitcoin or whatever you're going to do, but you have to educate yourself and become above average. And it doesn't take much. It really doesn't to be above average. The bar is pretty low, in my opinion, as far as what average is.
Yep, absolutely. I think so. That was kind of the spin on his video, Zuber's video with Jason Hartman. So that's kind of why his message has been changing. He thinks he does feel like, he doesn't want people in his community to be average, right? He wants them to be striving for more or above average, right? So definitely, yeah, that the average person today probably it is difficult, right? Like Tom was saying, it's not, it's about cutting back on expenses. You don't need the fancy car, or you don't need certain thing. You don't need the new iPhone, right? It's some people are putting themselves in these positions where it is harder to get wealthy today, right? So like Joe V says, so I'm hearing it's not harder, just requires more effort, learning, drive, and desire. Steven from the Bronx says, I do like how in Zuber's video with Jason Hartman, he did say, so don't be average. And I agree that if you're in this community and you're doing the work, you probably are not the average person. And Yasik says, health is wealth. So that is one way for that gray area of what wealth can be, right? So a lot of people, the health side of it is important, right? But yeah, that is kind of what Zuber was saying too. Say like if you come to his channel and you're consuming some of the content, watching at least one video a week kind of thing, you're probably not the average person, right? Who's going to YouTube to watch more entertainment, right? You're watching videos, car videos, or videos that are just consuming your time, right? So if you're there consuming some of his content or anyone's content that's providing information like this, you're not the average person, right?
One of the things that I look back on my own journey, like time wise, I started in 2013 when I bought my first rental property officially, and there just wasn't enough information out there. There wasn't a lot of information out there about the power of real estate. I mean, there's Rich Dad Poor Dad. That's pretty much it. That was well known, and I was just going and doing just because it's just what I could do. I was in a mortgage. People were buying real estate. I never really had a mentor. I just was doing it. Okay, like it's great. It's doing okay. Cash flow was okay. Appreciation was okay. Nothing crazy. And it's like when you're in the eye of the storm, or like the old saying of when you're in the good old days, like, do you realize that you're in the good old days? Because like everything is just happening around you. We don't realize it. But in real estate, like if you bought a property in 2022 or 2023, how have the last 3 years been? Probably for most people, just very okay. Nothing crazy. And so we always talk about the 5 years of suck on this channel. And so if you're in the middle of that 5 years of suck and things aren't happening very fast, then what are you doing in the meantime? Are you working on the job? Are you trying to save money? Are you cutting back on expenses to be able to prepare for the next one? And I think that's the defining line is like, what are you doing in between the deals? Like all the preparation and the work that you do in between deals I think is the most important thing. The deal is important, but all the work in between. And so it's like, what do you know that this is going to work? Is real estate going to be a viable plan in 20 years? We don't know now. But I think 10 years ago, I think we'd all agree that if you just buy a property and hold on to it for 20, 30 years, you're going to be okay. Now I think it's nobody knows. It's up in the air.
Harrison is asking, do you think that today's average person is different and only focuses on instant gratification? Lauren?
Probably not. I mean, I think that's just like part of the human condition. It's hard to say what people were like in the past. I mean, we do have this like Instagram, social media, instant gratification
Travel to
mentality.
Bali for 4 months, and
Yeah, exactly.
I should have started with someone else on this question.
I mean, I'm not the person that I'm like go for the instant gratification. Live your life, YOLO. No, but I mean, it to me, it's a bit about like semantics, like the average person, like, yeah, that's in any time period. If you were just average, were you ever doing anything really great? Regardless of when that was, were you taking risks, trying new things, educating yourself, or were you just like status quo every single day? So I think it's a bit about semantics, and it's like, are you educating, exercising, growing, learning, trying new things, putting yourself in situations where you're a little bit nervous, a little bit afraid, pushing the boundaries of your life and what you think is possible. And if you're doing that, no matter what time period you're in, I think that you're like, have the opportunity and there is the possibility of having wealth and success.
All right. Well, before we let Joel push back against Jovi pushing back against him, yeah, I did forget to read Yasik's comment about never heard anyone sick said I wish I had more money, but I heard plenty wealthy people say I wish I was healthier. Yeah. Jovi says I disagree with Joel. Real estate is proven. It has stood the test of time for wealth growth all the way back in history. And Jovi's pretty old, so he knows how far back he goes. So yes, we know that 20 years from now, if you bought a property today, you will be wealthier. Yeah, Joel, you want to say anything or?
Hold on, my computer's dying. Hold on.
Oh Jesus.
I mean, you can take thin slices of 5 or 10 years, whether it be the stock market or real estate. Real estate probably, not as much. But like for the example, the stock market, you can take a 5 or 10 years thin slice, and you could put money in at a peak here, and then for 10 years you can have very little growth. The reason I say what I say is because home prices went up 40% in 2 years. And since then, home prices are down.
Mm-hmm.
So what's going to happen over the next 5 years? I'm not saying necessarily 20. I don't know.
He's saying your computer's dying because you're making an excuse to.
Yeah, I think anytime there's like a shorter period of time, like you can't guarantee that you're going to hit that. But if you give it more time, it always goes up over time, is probably what Jovi's saying.
Yeah, but like I think my frame is coming back from what Zuber's saying is that like, can the average person get wealthy in real estate? And everyone on this call has been in the game for a number of years, and we've all seen success. But if you're young and you get in the game right now and you have 5 or 10 years of just suck and not growth, you're gonna have a different taste in your mouth about real estate going forward.
But if you stay in it,
I don't know.
for 15 years, you will ultimately be successful.
Oh, I totally agree.
I mean, but if you're 30 years old, right, and you bought a property in 2022, and then you bought a couple rentals because real estate's the way to get wealthy, and like, you're not cash flowing much. Appreciation it is what it is. You're paying down principal, but that's a long game. 15 years goes by, like that's a long time to wait for wealth and gains and success. They may have pivoted and moved on in 5 years because we know that this generation's impatient.
Well, I think that's the whole message is like, don't pivot and move on. Like, stick with it because time is
15
your friend.
years,
like,
hypothetically 15 years. You want me to wait for 15 years before I
yes.
see any real gains?
Yes, because the opposition to that
I might
is
be dead in 10.
Don't. Well, you might be dead tomorrow, but probably not. I mean, I bought houses in 22, 23, that arguably was at the top of the market. I have an interest rate of 7.5%. And those houses I will hold on to for 15 years. And I think that they will easily double in that time. And I'm not paying the mortgage, I'm renting them out. So I'm just going to work every day doing what I'm doing. And on the side, I have somebody over
Bali?
here.
Bali?
I'm going to Bali every day doing what I'm doing. Work. But over here, if you're doing it as an investment property, somebody else is paying that mortgage. And so over time, that is growing your wealth. That's always been the name of the game, whether it was in the 70s or whether it's now.
All right, hold on. Let's get Tom's thoughts on this, but quickly, and then there's some more questions from Joe after. But Tom, do you invest in any other asset classes also before you kind of answer this question a little bit about the holding real estate for a long term, whatnot?
I did. I was in Bitcoin for a little while and still hold some. That is probably the easiest one for people to get into. And if you go down the rabbit hole of that, the rabbit hole on that one is basically like how money works. And that's very helpful. One of the things I did is I sold some of my Bitcoin to pay off a single family house. And it wasn't a lot. So it was a very achievable amount of money, but sometimes I wonder if whether that was a good choice or a bad choice. And right now Bitcoin's down and I'm like, that was a good choice then. But when it goes to 5 million per coin, maybe it's a bad choice. But the short version of it though is investing in something for the long game, sticking with it is definitely the plan. Because you can buy real estate and be a crappy manager of the real estate and it will eat you alive. Because if people aren't paying their rent, then you're paying it and you're getting double eaten on that one. So managing over the long term, it's a lifetime strategy. You have to stick with it.
Yeah, I think the one thing is, we kind of always reference Zuber's back and forth and Dion's back and forth with the bald guy from their videos, right? And a lot of his probably struggles was that he needs that 5-year kind of plan. It's almost like a 5-year plan for him, right? So he's not looking at it at a 15, 20-year plan. So that's where a lot of his struggles might come into play. And like Tom was saying, Bitcoin is probably the easiest one for people to get into. So there is other asset classes that are easier to get into from the beginning. So you just got, and it always comes back to know thyself, right? If you're someone that's definitely doesn't see the vision of holding on to it for 15 years, then yeah, real estate's probably not going to work well for you, right? And
or you just choose a different strategy too. Like there's lots of strategies in real estate where you can buy a really distressed property and put a lot of sweat equity into it and then turn around and sell it for more. And you're having forced appreciation. So I think if you're older, you have less time or you don't want to hold for 5 years, create the equity.
Did you meet Saleka, Lauren, in Vegas?
Mm-mm.
Oh, so she's her husband is Jeff. They're PTO for life, so they're paid time off for life. They're like the 9-time house hacks. They're in Colorado, but they're always at the Vegas event. But I thought she knew you. She just said Lauren. I think maybe she's agreeing with what she said, Lauren, and she had the fire emojis there. But Saleka's a lot of fun. But there is a lot of people.
That's her, Miss White Lady.
Yes.
That's her?
Yes. Joe, there was a question though for you, Joe, besides people making fun of you. But it says accidental landlord says, what are the best strategies as a DSCR buyer would you deploy when competing with cash buyers? Joe, what kind of strategies do you see out there for your people coming to you for loans?
Well, why does cash win, right? I mean, it's certainty, right? You're still going to have inspections and you're still going to have title work. And so there's still time it takes to close. So, I mean, what would you say a cash offer, 15, 21 days to close typically? So how do you compete with that? Well, one, you want to know that the deal is certain. And two, you want to be able to close fast. And there are some things that you can do to create more certainty for the listing agent, and there's ways to be able to close fast. So if you want more information about that, click the link in the bio and comment DSCR. No, but like
I don't know which link to share though. Like I said, Joe has like
As-
20 links. I don't know which is the proper one to share. Tom, what about you though? Do you
Yeah, I
how
mean,
do you pay cash for all your properties, or you do DSCR?
I've done DSCR. I did a DSCR refi on one, and then I did a cash on another one. But what I've heard from real estate agents and other people though is the ability to close is more important than where the funding sources come from. People assume cash. They're like, oh, sweet. Oftentimes, like this, from the seller's point of perspective, maybe they think their house is a piece of crap and that's why they're selling it. And they're like, oh, it'll never pass inspection. Well, that seller might not know what that really means. They just assume there's some inspection, like it's haunted, but it's not. And so they think that the cash one's better because then they're not going to get beat up. The guy can just buy it without inspections. And people can put that in their offer if they don't want any inspection, or they're going to do an inspection but not raise any big red flags. If you're comfortable doing that, sometimes that's a helpful tactic. If you're not comfortable with it, leave the inspection clause in there.
Joe, are you going to say something else before I cut you off? Or you're something.
I was gonna say, I think a lot of times the offer that people take has a lot to do with what their agent recommends to them. And so if you can talk with the agent and say, look, I know you guys have a cash offer, but I'm using a DSCR, I'm an investor, and I'm not afraid of like distressed properties or whatever it is that's unique to that property. You give the confidence that you're going to be able to close to their agent. That I think is going to help, because that's the person who's recommending which one to go with to the buyers or to the seller.
And Joe, I'm not, like I said, I don't know if you still work for that company or that's a product you still offer, or if you saw it used. Because I know at one point there was that loan that is almost as if you're making a cash offer, right? Wasn't there a product where they?
Yeah, but that doesn't work for the investment side.
Okay.
That's only for primary
Okay.
residences.
Did you see a lot of people use that product though?
Not as much as I would have thought, to be frank. It's a great option, but just I think the market's just so soft in most cities that it just wasn't necessary, because there are costs. It's like a 2% cost to do that. But the one thing I was going to say is that the one thing about DSCR is that you can't cross streams on renovation. So if the property has any type of items in the appraisal that are deemed need to be fixed, it could be wood rot, cracking windows, like small stuff or big stuff. If the seller doesn't fix it, then it's a dead deal. So that's where the one limit about DSCR can happen, is if the property is in any type of distress or needs any type of renovations or fixing of things, like that's a hard stop, and then you're back to hard money, right? Your typical bridge loan.
You mean if it's not livable in some way? Because
Habitable.
I've bought properties that need like work on them, but they are livable.
Yeah, if it's livable, cool.
Yeah.
But like if it's not livable and the appraiser says, hey, this thing needs to be fixed, if it's minor, probably isn't that big of a deal, right? But if it's more than minor, then that could be a showstopper.
Flavio's asking, Joel, I don't know if he's asking or saying, he said, you don't believe on interest only for 10 years?
I don't know if I referenced that exactly, but I think it's a great tool, but not right for everybody. I mean, if you're early in your journey, don't have a lot of experience, and don't have the income and cash flow coming in from other sources, I think it's a risky tool. Because like you said, Lauren, before, your renters are paying down the mortgage, they're paying down the principal, so that's powerful. If you got somebody that's not experienced, that's a risky tool. But if you got somebody that has a lot going on and they want the cash flow to put into the next venture, I think it's a good tool. I mean, and like from a rate standpoint, the difference on DSCR between a 30-year fix and a 30-year interest only, it's like an 1/8%. It's not a big difference.
Yeah, so I think definitely there's a cost to it, so you got to weigh the cost, and then it's also the loan size, right? So the bigger loan, of course, is going to increase cash flow much more. So there's a lot of factors involved. I think the way I would always look at it is more if the cost and everything makes sense, I would definitely use interest only. I'd rather have the cash today. I think even Joe kind of mentioned it. A lot of times, yeah, you're getting principal pay down, but that's money you still, how are you going to access it at a certain point, right? So if I can get the money today and it can be used for my next acquisition or help pay down something else, I'd rather have the money up front. But that same thing, it comes down to the cost of how much it'll be interest only and the loan size.
I think that's very true. I was just going to touch on that one too, is what are you doing with that extra money? Is it interest only and you're buying a boat, or interest only and it's going towards your business and you're reinvesting it back in? That's where it's at. Or is that interest rate variable? Like a line of credit, sometimes those are variable. Like you want to be in and out. You don't want to hover in those. And then it's such in the weeds situation that you can find yourself many options.
Yasik says what Joel is saying is what average person is doing. That's why so few people make it in real estate. Then James Hill is. Go ahead.
I was gonna say the reason I bring that up is that if there's the chances of somebody watching this video with this profile, but if you're on the fence about investing in real estate and you see a video or a reel on Instagram and it's like, hey, I made all this money and I'm building wealth and this and that, and you have a certain expectation of like when it's going to happen. It's going to happen in 2 years or 5 years. My point in all that is that we don't know what's going to happen in the markets for next year, let alone 5 or 10. That it's going to take a lot of blood, sweat, and tears and patience to be able to win in this game. So I think it's just more about expectations that it's you're going to have 5 years that suck. Just reinforcing that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And I think the hard part, if you've watched, so Zuber's been doing a lot more portfolio reviews, so people can bring their portfolios, he can evaluate it, kind of maybe figure out what the next move is. And the thing he's noticed quite a bit is we do talk about the 5 years of suck a lot, and a lot of us probably are going through it, been through it, but it's those 5 to 10 years, or that next phase is probably the hardest part though.
Mm-hmm.
Because now, so the first 5 years we all know suck, and it's just really you're just trying to figure out how to navigate. So you're busy trying to figure it out. That next 5 years is really the hard part, because it's a lot of it is just sitting there doing nothing almost, really, and just letting everything grow. And that's where people get themselves into problems a lot of time, is because now they're trying to figure out, oh, is it time for me to switch my strategy? Is it time for me to do something else? And it's those next 5 years that probably prevent people from taking that next step, like you're saying, to get to that wealthy point, and they pivot too soon, or they start taking on too many things. So that actually, that 5 to 10 years to me is where a lot of people have a hard time, is because now it's kind of just really just letting your portfolio grow from those first 5 years.
I totally agree. That is absolutely one of the hardest parts.
Yeah, I don't just come here and make trouble. I say some useful things once in a while. Harrison says, Joel, I used a quote from my favorite educational kids show for my investment. Take risk, make mistakes, and get messy. Miss Frizzle, Magic School Bus. See?
She's the best.
Yeah, Stephen P., I do agree with you. As much as I don't want to agree with Joe V., I think he's right in this case. 10 plus years, just have patience and the wins will come. Yeah.
Yeah, but just got to have patience for 10 years. Mark, you just said it, that 5 to 10 years. That's the hard part.
Mm-hmm.
That's the hard part. If you're not seeing the successes, are you going to pivot? You're going to panic sell, which is hard to do in real estate, but you
That's
could.
when you start your YouTube channel and you just keep yourself busy doing that.
That's right. Become a YouTube star.
And then
we're in the same Lauren
has gone. Her channel is stopped after her first 3 videos.
Just wait till I get
I don't
my
know.
office set up.
Is that what it
Just
is?
Wait, yeah.
Who's your next interview lined up with then?
Well, I want to do the credit card points and I want to do like a
Oh.
real time because I have like 300,000 points that I have never used, maybe even more, maybe like 500,000.
Can we use those points and like go do make a party, like plan a party for the group?
Sure, let's do it.
Party on Lauren. Let's go.
Uh,
Where should we do it at? Somewhere warm
Try-
by the water.
Italy, Greece.
That would be cool.
so
Italy's
Tom,
better.
are you thinking about being at the event next year? It took me 3 years to get, or no, 2.5 years to get Joe and Lauren to come to the ORAD event.
I'll be there next year.
I am thinking about it. The last one I was like, I shouldn't, but I was trying to save up. And it's always like, it seems like a big expense, but it might also be a big motivator as well as to stick with it.
we should make like
If
a
you would have had an
game.
interest only loan.
We should make like a game, like who can get the trip paid for.
Who can get their
Like,
trip
no,
paid.
like you know, a credit card points, whatever.
Mm.
See who
A
can
little
get
contest.
Yeah.
Who can get the trip the cheapest?
Yeah.
Like I'm a definitely like on the Ramsey side as far as like the credit card thing, which is opposite of the points thing. So I'm kind of like,
Yeah,
I
I'll be
lean both
honest.
ways.
I'm
I
not,
see the value in it, but it's also
it's I don't know. I just rather have one, which I don't know. I didn't do it. I think I missed the Robinhood had the credit card at 3% back on everything. But
That's
I just
awesome.
want something simple like that. I don't want to have to use this to transfer to that or get this or get the sign up. I mean, I get it. People do save quite a bit, but it's like,
But there's always the transfer fee too. Like if you're transferring the balance to another card, there's typically a 3% transfer fee.
yeah.
So 0%, but you're also getting that fee up.
Who's
Uh,
balance transferring? I don't know a strategy where you're transferring the balance.
well, so like let's say you so some people do use credit card, and you know, I'm not saying this is the best way to do it. I've done it, but you know, sometimes when you're in those first 5 years, you're just trying to figure out how to get shit paid for. So
Yeah.
you may use a credit card for it. Let's say you still hold a balance on it, and let's say you're at 20% whatever interest rate on the credit card, right? And then you get one of those in the mail, right? 0% balance
Oh.
for 18 months, right, or whatever. You know, I'm going to transfer this to that, but you
Mhm.
do pay a fee, probably like a 3% fee. So you do have a
Still
fee, on
worth
it.
it.
But then
3% compared to 24%.
So,
Yeah.
like I said, you know, I've done it. I'm sure many have done it, but sometimes in that first 5 years, you're just trying to figure
I've
stuff
done
out.
it.
Yeah, and there's people that I know, and I'm not sure. I've never heard anybody else do it. I don't know if it's common or you have to just have a certain relationship with your management company. But some people have prepaid their reserves with their credit card, because you usually, when you go into your management portal, you can prepay with a credit card. I think you can prepay the reserves, right? And then if you ask for the reserves back because maybe you need it, now you get cash at a 0% interest. So you pay the fee to prepay your reserves in the portal. Let's say you prepay at 10K, and then you tell the management company, oh, can you, whatever, give me back my reserves, but still keep in my minimum balance reserves. But now you have 10K at 0% interest. I don't know.
Interesting.
I know people that have done it, but that might be something to consider but I'm just, I don't know. I've never done it. I'm just
You're
saying.
in that take
It's
risks.
not
phase.
advice at all. Do your own research. Do your own due diligence. Suleika saying, ORAD is an investment. So yes, Tom, you should be there. Joe and Lauren loved it. So they had a lot of fun, even though Joe would just disappear and not say bye. And Lauren, we didn't know where she was in the mornings.
Sleeping.
Dion's cruise. Anyone, you guys know about that? Tom, or you know about anyone going on that?
just
Never
what's
heard
on
of
his videos.
Yeah. So Dion's they're doing a cruise in late June. I believe it's to Alaska, and they're taking out from the Pacific Northwest. But it's not like his cruise. He was just already going on a cruise, but he does have like I guess whoever travel agent he used. He said, hey, if you give me your information, I'll provide it. So if other people want to join us, they can jump on. So there is a cruise set up in June. It's actually going to be Millennial Mike's like honeymoon. So the three amigos, Zuber, Dion, and Lumberjack have paid for Mike's cruise. So it's kind of a gift to him. So they're paying for his honeymoon. But Millennial Mike and his family will also be on that cruise. And and PTO for Life is also going to be on. They're going to be joining or going to be on that cruise. I think I'm going to be in Japan at that time, so I don't think I'm going to go. But if you want to know more, go check. I think it might be on Dion's channel, so go check out. He should have the links to who you can connect. But I believe it's the 21st to the 28th of June. Is when they're going to be there. Joe V, PTO for Life is going to be there. I believe Jay from school is going to be there. I think Alex, the accidental investor, is going to be there with his family. So there's a good amount of people that's going to be on the cruise. Any final words from you guys? Anything you want to wrap things up with? Tom, fun having you on. Hopefully, like I said, if anyone gets any sewer reports or, come to or message him in school or Wednesday, like tonight. What time does it start, Tom? Do you remember?
I think 7 our time, 7 Mountain Time.
Shit, man, whatever. It's tonight sometime. Go figure out what time if you the accountability call, but you can always bring stuff there, inspection reports, whatnot. Joe, looks like you wanted to say something.
Oh, I got a lot of things to say, but I'll keep it short. So one, just Joe V, when you're out there, if you have any one gray hair in your beard, just letting you know that you're never going to hear from at the end of it from me. I'll never let a gray hair go if I ever see.
Hey, well, Joe V might actually be in Vegas next year because he couldn't do those weekends because there's stuff.
I know the dance thing. Yeah. So okay, that being said, another thing I was going to say too, like speaking of HELOCs, I've got a lot of people that have equity in their rental properties, and like rather than doing a cash out, people are doing HELOCs on their rental properties, and rates are high. It's like prime plus 4.5, but these are people that are using them for fix and flips, and so it's cheaper than doing a 12% hard money loan. So I'm seeing a lot of that right now, which I think is interesting. What are you guys seeing a lot of? What are people doing right now?
We're not in mortgages.
We're the ones that get the mortgages.
Yeah, we're not seeing a lot of anything.
What do you mean? You see stuff like.
I don't know. Honestly, I think I see is a lot of people saying like there's just not a lot happening. A little bit of like waiting on the sidelines.
Because there aren't a lot of good deals out there.
That's what they're saying. Mm-hmm.
Well.
But Mark,
that's why I think
Mark is closing every other week, so I don't know. I see.
Well, that actually that one started like in December. So I feel like people are tightening up, but lenders are getting nitpicky on things. Appraisers are getting nitpicky on things. So yeah, it's just the inspection, not the inspection, but the appraisal. So the inspection came back, whatever, it came back what it is, but the appraiser was the guy saying things have to get fixed. So he was the one being the stickler on it. So it went back and forth a few times on the appraisal. So the thing was, so that property or that county has a occupancy certificate inspection report also. So someone from the county comes through and that passed. So it was the appraiser that was the one that was holding up the closing, and then even other people did refis, and they said, yeah, the appraisals are coming in really soft, So I think people are just tightening up. So just be aware if you are gonna go under contract, things are getting nitpicky, but that's also negotiating tool, right? You get it under contract and you basically tell the seller, hey, I can't move forward unless we meet certain points, because they're telling me I need to do this and we got to address this or we can't proceed forward. So yeah, it's just a tool like anything, right, to try to get a better price. Let's see. Yeah, Joe Uh, Flavio's asking, Joe, what is the interest rate on HELOCs on rental? Do you have the holy grail? Because that's what everyone is looking for, right? HELOCs on rental.
There's not a holy grail. It's like best case scenario, prime plus 4, prime plus 4.5. So prime now is what, 6.5,
Mm-hmm.
6.75. I forget what it is. So yeah, you're talking double digits.
Is the HELOC on a rental, is that more than a HELOC on your primary?
Yeah, because on a primary, if you're under 80% loan to value, you can get a rate prime plus a half. I mean, there's a company that is in the DC market that's prime minus a half.
Oh, wow.
Tower Federal Credit Union, they're really good.
Mm.
All right. Well, if you want to know more about that, reach out to Joel and see what he can find for you. Or
If anyone wants to come on my channel, reach out.
Yep. So if anyone wants to reach out, find Lauren in school. She is looking for people to have on her channel. And hold on, let me check real quick. Who do we have next week joining us? Who do we have next week? We have. Oh, how come I don't have it here? We have someone. I gotta go look. It's someone from school is joining us. I forget. It could be because you were supposed to be. I told you the 8th at first, right, Tom? And then we switched, or was it someone else?
It might have been somebody else.
I think we have Chris next week. I think Chris from school is going to be joining us. He's in Arizona.
Westline?
No, not Chris. Chris Ramsey, I believe. I think Ramsey's his last name, but he's in Arizona. But I'll check my calendar again. But like I said, anyone, if you are in school and want to join us on our Wednesdays, we're trying to bring on a different school member every week. Like I said, Tom is in school, so if you have more questions, you can always message him there. He should be on the accountability call tonight. But Tom, hopefully you had a lot of fun. Thanks for doing this. Joel, Lauren, I just remind you that Tom was here before you guys, and he actually showed up on time. Well, actually, Joel was on time today.
Mm-hmm.
You were. I see Tom's like, yeah, he was.
He was.
We switch off and on.
Yeah.
I was on time last week. Joel wasn't.
That is
Switching
true.
back and forth, But we're never
We're not dwelling on the past. We're dwelling in the present right now.
We're-
Present is what matters. Let's stay present right now. Right here.
right here.
I wasn't
Yeah,
ready.
and check out Joel's social media, his YouTube channel. He's putting on a lot of content he got from the Vegas event. So he's putting on a lot of the interviews he had from there.
Yeah, and
And
next
Flavio said he wants a little bit of pay from recording all of that for you.
when I start earning money on my channels, he was the first person I pay. Plus interest. No, I was gonna say my interviews from Dallas are gonna come out next week.
Yes,
Can't wait.
the real Brandon Potts will be there on that interview, right?
That's right. That's right.
It's an inside story. Some people know about it. Joel was tagging the wrong Brandon Potts. And we'll just leave it at that. All right, everyone. Thanks for tuning in. Wednesday is always a fun time. Hopefully, if you guys are having a fun time meeting different people from the school community. Joe and Lauren, thanks for always doing this. It's always a lot of fun. And Tom, we'll get you back on, man.
The
We'll get you back on.
funnest?
What?
Yeah, are we the funnest though?
The funnest?
You guys
I
actually
don't
cause me the
watch-
most headaches. Because
I don't watch the other days. I just want to know.
At least you're honest. Hey, Chris Webb is here. No, yeah, well, yeah, you guys are fun. Everyone is fun. Everyone is fun in their own way. Everyone is a little different.
All right. Thanks, Dad. Appreciate it.
All right, everyone. Thanks for tuning in. I'll see everyone back on Friday when I'm back with Emily Lopez. So everyone have a good day. Have a good April Fool's Day. Oh, you know what? I was joking. I was fooling you guys. You guys aren't the funnest then.
April Fool's
All right,
Dad
thanks.
joke.